Let's talk about something most men don't say out loud. You walk into a room, maybe it's a meeting, a dinner, even just a casual get-together, and for some reason, you don't feel like you're being taken seriously. People glance over you, interrupt you, forget your name minutes after you introduce yourself. You've got experience, wisdom, stories they can't even imagine, and yet somehow you feel invisible. Here's the truth. It's not just about what you say, it's how you show up. And style? Style is often the missing link between how you see yourself and how the world sees you. In this video, we're breaking down the top 5 reasons you're not taken seriously and how your style can change that narrative. Because after 50, you've earned the right to be respected. Let's make sure the world sees it too. Reason number 1, you dress like you've given up. Let's not dance around it. One of the biggest reasons men over 50 aren't taken seriously anymore is because of how they show up. And I don't mean what you say, how much money you make, or your career background. I mean how you look. More specifically, how you dress. Because the truth is, a lot of men hit a certain age and start dressing like they've given up. Not just on fashion, but on themselves. Take a look at the usual suspects. Sneakers that should have been replaced 10 years ago, jeans that haven't fit properly since the 1990s, shirts with collars that have lost their shape, and stains you stopped noticing years ago. Maybe you tell yourself it's all about comfort. Maybe you even believe it, but that's not what the world sees. The world doesn't interpret your wardrobe as comfortable. They see a man who's stopped making an effort. And like it or not, that has consequences. People form opinions before you speak. Before they know your experience or your values, before they hear your voice or your ideas, they've already made a judgment. Because your clothes send a message, and if that message says, "I don't care," they'll assume you don't care about anything. Your appearance becomes a reflection of your attitude, your energy, and your standards. If your clothes look tired, people will assume you are too. But here's the good news. You can change this narrative. You can shift that perception almost instantly without becoming a fashion guy or chasing trends. This isn't about looking younger. It's about looking like you're still engaged with life. It's about self-respect. Start with the basics. Clothes that fit your body as it is now, not what it used to be. Fabrics that hold their shape and flatter your frame. Solid, well-maintained shoes that say you're still paying attention to detail. You don't need a fancy wardrobe. You just need to stop defaulting to what's easy and start choosing what reflects the man you are today. Because the moment you start dressing with intention, people notice. You'll walk into a room and something will shift. People will look at you differently, but more importantly, you'll feel different. You'll stand taller. You'll move with more confidence. You'll remind yourself and the world that you haven't faded into the background, that you still take yourself seriously, that you still have standards. And that presence, that earns respect long before you ever open your mouth. Reason number 2, you're dressing for a man you no longer are. This is one of the most common style traps men over 50 fall into, and it happens for one simple reason: nostalgia. Many good men, successful men, confident men, are still dressing like the version of themselves they used to be. The guy in his 30s who hit the gym 5 days a week, wore tight jeans and leather jackets on the weekends, maybe threw on a graphic tee to feel casual but cool. Or the guy in his early 40s, holding on to slim fit everything and hairstyles that no longer match his face or hairline. It's not laziness. It's habit, familiarity, comfort. But here's the hard truth. You're not that guy anymore. And pretending to be only cheapens the man you've become. Style, real style, is about alignment. It's not about recreating your past. It's about honoring your present. And when your outer appearance reflects your current identity, your experience, your wisdom, your quiet strength, something shifts. People may not consciously know why they respond to you differently, but they will, because congruence is powerful. When a man's appearance matches the energy he carries, it sends a message of integrity, of clarity. There's no tension between how he looks and who he is. That's magnetic. But the opposite is just as true. When your style is trying to cling to youth, it doesn't make you look younger. It makes you look like you're denying reality. Tight jeans, distressed denim, logo-heavy shirts, flashy sneakers, loud accessories, they don't signal vitality. They signal insecurity. And whether people admit it or not, they can feel that disconnect. If you want to be taken seriously, not just looked at, but truly seen, you need to dress like a man who's accepted who he is today. A man who's not chasing relevance, but already owns it. Let go of the need to appear trendy. Instead, lean into timeless pieces that communicate depth. Rich textures, neutral colors, classic cuts, these don't scream for attention. they hold it. This doesn't mean boring. It means intentional. It means you choose clothes that fit your lifestyle now, that echo the calm confidence of someone who's lived enough to know what matters and what doesn't. It's the difference between trying to impress and simply being impressive. Because maturity, when embraced, is magnetic. And when your wardrobe aligns with that maturity, you become the kind of man others look to. Not because you're loud, but because you're anchored. And in a world full of noise and trend chasers, that quiet strength is unforgettable. Reason number 3, you blend in when you should stand out. There's a quiet lie that sneaks into the minds of many men after a certain age. It sounds reasonable, even protective. It whispers, if I don't stand out, I won't be judged. And so men start choosing clothes that feel safe, plain polos, baggy khakis, neutral tones with no intention behind them. They stop thinking about presence and start aiming for invisibility. It's not laziness. It's a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the feeling that you're competing with younger men or being held to standards that don't feel fair anymore. But here's the reality. When you fade into the background, people assume you're supposed to be there. They don't lean in. They don't listen harder. They don't wonder what you might say. They overlook you, not out of malice, but because your appearance gave them no reason to do otherwise. You don't need loud fashion to change that. You don't need wild colors or trends that belong on runways, not real life. What you need is presence, quiet strength, details that speak without yelling, a well-fitted jacket that sharpens your silhouette, a clean, intentional haircut, well-groomed facial hair that frames your face with dignity, a leather watch that looks like it's lasted and will keep lasting, shoes that don't try too hard but still say, I pay attention. Presence isn't about clothing that screams. It's about clothing that speaks, subtly, confidently, and truthfully. It's about wearing clothes that match your mindset. You've lived, you've learned, you've earned your perspective, and the way you dress should reflect that. Because when your appearance says you have something to say, people make room for you to say it. The world doesn't need more loud voices. It needs more grounded ones. But grounding doesn't mean disappearing. There's a difference between humility and hiding. You're not meant to fade out just because you've passed a certain birthday. You've reached an age where your voice matters more than ever, so make sure people notice when you walk into the room. Let your style do the first bit of talking. Let it tell the world that you still care, that you still command space, that you are still here, not lingering in the past or buried in the background, but fully, undeniably present. Because the truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out with class, with clarity, and with quiet power. Reason number 4, your style doesn't match your value. Let me ask you something important. You've built a life, a family, a career, friendships that have stood the test of time. You've fought battles nobody else saw, personal struggles, financial challenges, emotional storms. You've been a rock for others when everything else was shaking. You've earned every line on your face and every gray hair on your head. You carry the weight of experience. So why then are you still dressing like a man who hasn't lived? When you underdress, you're sending a message. Whether you realize it or not, you're telling the world and maybe yourself that you don't think this moment, this meeting, this version of you is worth the effort, that you don't deserve to be recognized, respected, or even noticed, that the battles you've won, the lessons you've learned, don't matter enough to be reflected in how you present yourself. This isn't about vanity or superficial pride. It's about dignity visible, undeniable dignity. Your clothes are more than fabric and thread. They're armor, not a shield to hide behind, but a statement that reflects the strength you've earned, the resilience you carry, the man you've become. When you dress with respect for yourself, it changes everything. People don't just see what you're wearing, they see the story behind it. They see a man who values himself and his time. They see a man who understands that how he shows up affects how he's treated. And when your appearance aligns with the weight of your life's experience, people take notice. They listen more closely. They respond with respect. They give you space to lead. Your presence should say, this man has been through it all, and he's still standing strong. Because that's the truth. You've lived, learned, and endured. You deserve to be seen as the man you are now, not a shadow of who you once were. were, but the full, complex, powerful version of yourself. And when your style matches your values, something remarkable happens. Doors open more easily, conversations go deeper, opportunities appear, not because of superficial judgments, but because your appearance echoes your inner strength and commands respect naturally. So don't settle for less. Don't let your style tell a story that's out of sync with your true worth. Dress in a way that honors the journey you've taken and the man you've become, because when you do, the world will respond accordingly. Reason number 5, you're waiting for permission to be stylish. This one hits close to home for many men, and it's deeply personal. After 50, a lot of men fall into the trap of waiting for the green light to care about how they look, waiting for someone else, a partner, a friend, or society, to tell them it's okay to pay attention to their appearance again, waiting for a special occasion that feels worthy enough to dress up. But here's the brutal truth. You don't need anyone's permission. None of it. You don't need a reason to care about yourself. Every day, no matter what, is worth showing up as your best self. You are worth that kind of respect from yourself first and foremost. Think about it. How often have you put your own self-respect on hold because you felt like it wasn't your place to care? Or maybe you've let others pick out your clothes or convinced yourself that comfort means ignoring your appearance. Maybe you've buried your style under excuses or habit because you thought dressing well was for younger men, or only for people in certain jobs or lifestyles. But when you wait for permission, you hand over your power. You let the narrative about who you are and what you deserve be controlled by someone else. Here's where the power lies. When you decide to stop outsourcing your self-respect and start showing up for yourself, everything changes. Suddenly, you're not just a man in the room, you're a man who owns the room. People notice the difference. At restaurants, you get treated with more courtesy. Conversations shift as people listen when you speak. Doors, literal and metaphorical, open more easily. Your style stops being just about clothing. It becomes a powerful message. It says, I know my worth. I'm still growing, still evolving, and I'm still here to make an impact. In a world where so many men check out, disengage, or fade into the background after a certain age, your choice to embrace style is radical. It's a bold declaration that you're not done, that you're still investing in yourself, that you recognize the power of presence and are willing to show up for it every day. Here's what it all comes down to. Being taken seriously doesn't start with other people. It starts with you, with deciding that you're no longer going to dim your presence, that your story, your age, your experience, they matter, and you're going to dress like it. So whether you're heading to the store, the office, or a night out, carry yourself like a man who still cares. Because when you care about how you present yourself, the world listens. You're not invisible. You're just one decision away from being seen. If this message hit home, don't scroll past. Take 30 seconds today to look in the mirror and ask yourself, is what I'm wearing telling the truth about who I am? And if the answer is no, start small. One good pair of shoes, a fresh haircut, a jacket that actually fits. You don't need to change everything. You just need to show up with intention. Because the man you are deserves to be seen, heard, and respected. And it starts with how you walk into the room.